It is not easy to master a craft, and it requires not only a little bit of talent but also a lot of hard work to be able to master the craft to an extent that you can call yourself a master. However, there are many people in the world who have immense amount of talent but wasn't able to reach the master level either because of laziness or they tried to put in effort but they remain stagnant. They weren't able to improve over time and eventually they just stay at where they were. And the same applies to Vanguard. Many decks in Vanguard does get improved over time as they get support through boosters or even promo cards. However, there is one particular right line in D format right now that is kinda stay stagnant to me, and it's not because of the fact that Bushiroad decided not to give this particular right line supports, but because of the fact that this particular right line is so strong out of the gate with a really OP support in the earlier part of their life, and because of that it remains stagnant. And yes, if many of you have played Vanguard long enough, especially in D format, you would be knowing that I'm talking about Bastion, the Apex ruler. So what exactly Bastion do to retain such a strong position for a really long time, being one of the strongest decks around to build, but at the same time he kind of stagnate? So before we get into the meat of the video, a huge disclaimer here as usual. This video will be quite opinionated as it is based on my experience as someone who have played and also play against Bastion multiple times through casual and tournament format. So if you have your own opinion about Bastion, leave in the comments below. Also, I make Vanguard content semi-regularly, just to keep it up as much as I can. So if you guys enjoy this kind of content, consider like this video and subscribe to my channel, and also ring the bell to keep up with the notification. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So, what makes Bastion so strong? Well, we need to look into his effect first, and he has only two simple effects. One, which is during your turn, give all grade 3 regards and himself additional 2k. This is actually really strong, especially if you play very aggressive deck like Bastion, as it allows you to hit the magic number, especially if you go first, as it forces the opponent who goes second to guard more, as the 15k is the magic number if the opponent is still at grade 2. Not only that, it also has a very practical application in endgame, as that additional 4k to that column if you use Darkstrain for boost, which will still give you that wonderful magic column, as it will force opponent to guard at least 5 to 10k more, and if you translate it into the overdress format, that means additional card from their hand. Bastion also have a really strong second skill, as at the end of any drive check, you drive check into a grade 3. Once per turn, discard one card from your hand, restand a grade 3 and give them 10k until the end of turn. This actually means that Bastion converts your bad drive checks into a good one, as it essentially converts a grade 3 into a stand trigger, like literally a stand trigger. So what makes Bastion very strong essentially boils down to the fact that he converts what could have been your losing chance into a winning chance, as he converted a grade 3 into a triggers. And because of that, I think this is one of the reasons why Bastion managed to stay in the top tier for so long. He has such a really strong skill that kind of cut away what's Vanguard. Interesting. In addition to that, he does get a really solid support in his first support. Alden, Fossard, and even Kokuview, these are some of the cards that the deck played that actually built Bastion to what it is today. With these three simple cards, it fixed most of the Bastion possible problem. One, which is Brick Hand, you get Alden to draw more cards. Fossard help to refill resources and also is a resist unit. And Kokuview, turn those grade 3 in your hand to your advantage. So what does Bastion really need after all that? Well, not much, to be honest.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And that is exactly the reason why Bastion has an issue of stagnation. So what exactly is the problem with Bastion? And the answer is actually very simple. The fact that he converts bad luck into a good luck is actually kind of a double-edged sword here, as together with his BT01 support, his consistent level is by far one of the highest right now, even higher so than the decks that outperform him like Roro Nero. It is so balanced and consistent that introducing anything new into it will just simply ruin that precious balance that the Bastion deck has. Of course, Bastion is still completely perfectly playable even if that balance is disturbed, but it's just that the playstyle that introduced this imbalance into the Bastion just currently is not able to beat the original right now. And the very clear example that you can see with these new supports is in the triple Rs from both BT02 and BT03. BT02 introduced Refuse Source. Okay, this particular Archer does have ability to give itself boost when you personal right, and restand itself from back row if another rearguard in your same column as this unit stand. That actually means that it gives the higher push to some of the attacks, especially if you play this card with Auden. You can hit a very disgustingly respectable high number even without any other boost from the cards like Reflux. And surprisingly, Refuse Source does work well with cards that is in the original build of the Bastion, as you can abuse the Dark Strain effect to make use of his second skill. However, this does introduce the more aggressive aspect into the Bastion deck and kind of ruin some of the cards, as a lot of cards in okay, I need something to call this particular build. Let's call it Golden Ratio build. So, introducing Refuse Source into this Golden Ratio build is still just gonna ruin the balance, as you don't really have a card that can replace it, with the exception of Dark Strain himself. The same goes for the Grade 3 order in BT03 that enable you to boost anytime once you activate the effect. However, the fact that you have an order in your deck is actually quite a detrimental task to begin with. The order must be very useful or very crucial to the deck to an extent that you need to play it. A very good example for that is Pandemonium Tactics from the same booster. So, what about Ragrael? You know, the BT03 triple R? Well, he does introduce a very interesting build of Bastion that personally I only found it out very recently, and that is a meme build.
Spicy.
So Ragrael with ability to drive check as a rearguard is actually a lot more valuable, as we all know by now with a lot of units that enable the rearguard drive checks. This particular meme build has a lot of inconsistency in the form of Ragrael cost, as you need to either raise a lot of rearguards or you discard a lot of cards. So it's a kind of like a fair trade in my opinion, but it's still playable nonetheless. However, introducing Ragrael into a normal Golden Ratio build of Bastion will just also ruin that balance. So is there a way for Bastion to really come back from this stagnation? And the answer is there is, but you kind of need to wait, as the solution to that particular problem is to see whether each other right lines in the D format will eventually caught up in the power level that Bastion has in the course of the consistency, of course. And we already start seeing that trend with, of course, Bruce and Lolo Nero. It's so hard to pronounce that name. So yeah, we have already seen decks start to be on the same power level as Bastion, albeit they don't have the same level of consistency, but they have enough firepower to compensate for that. However, Bastion players do not be alarmed, as we are already seeing a possibility of Bastion getting a proper boost that he needs, and that is in the form of his retrain form. Even though we do not know anything about this particular retrain yet, I can positively say that this particular retrain will definitely have an effect on the Bastion deck as a whole. That's all I have for today, guys. What do you guys think of Bastion's stagnation? Does he really stagnate like what I think he is? So leave in the comments below of what you guys thinking about, the Bastion in general. And yeah, that is all I have for today. Stay healthy. And this is Mac Megane, signing out.